Hello there. Welcome to today's live stream. My name is Tyler Hakes. I am the principal and strategy director of a content marketing agency called Optimist. And today is our 5th anniversary. Hey, congratulations to us. Shout out to the team and all the people who have made that happen. I'm really excited to host today's live session. Today we're going to try to answer a really important and maybe controversial question. Should we kill the MQL? I think that's enough of a sort of teaser of what we're going to be talking about. But as marketers, I think we're all sort of familiar with this idea of using content to generate leads that sometimes are not quite ready to buy, and we call those MQLs or prospects or whatever kind of terminology we use to qualify contacts and people that we think might buy but aren't quite ready to buy, or we hope will buy but they're still sussing out other options or whatever the case may be. And so one of the strategies that we've developed over the years as content marketers is to create all these like gimmicks and gates and forms to try to get people to give us their email address with the hopes that that contact or that lead will at some point turn into a customer. But I think many of us as marketers have experienced firsthand that a huge percentage of those people who give you an email address, sign up for your newsletter or download an ebook or whatever it is, really are never going to convert into actual customers. And that's a really big challenge that we face as marketers, as content folks. And so our guest today, Mrig Pandey, she's going to be sharing her thoughts on how B2B companies can approach this differently. And so we're going to be talking about this idea of product-led storytelling, which is a different way to sort of attract and educate and convert readers into actual sales, actual revenue, etc. So I'm really excited. We're going to bring on Mrig here in just a moment. But before we do that, I've got to make my normal asks here. So first and foremost, if you're joining us today, please like this video. It's going to help other people find our channel. Secondly, subscribe to the Optimist YouTube channel. We host live sessions, workshops, Q&As, all kinds of stuff on a bi-weekly basis or so. And actually next week, we have another workshop coming up. So definitely hit subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of our upcoming video content. And number 3, I'd love to invite you to join our group if you're not already a member, Top of the Funnel. It's a free Slack community. We've got content marketers, SEO folks in there of all different types, from all different types of companies, freelancers, agency side folks. It's a great community for finding work, finding help with projects, or hiring agencies or freelancers. We share all kinds of exclusive content in there. And of course, we also, those folks are the first ones to know about our upcoming workshops, webinars, live sessions, and whatnot. So would love to have you as a member of Top of the Funnel. Please visit yesoptimist.com/tofu, TOFU, and join us there. Cool. Well, with all that out of the way, I want to again kind of pivot back here. We're going to be talking to Mrig Pandey. Sorry, I keep having trouble with the pronunciation there. But she's going to be joining us. She's a SaaS content strategist and growth consultant. And she's going to be sharing her thoughts on product-led storytelling. So let's bring Mrig on. Hey, Mrig, how you doing?
Thank you, Talon. I'm doing good. How about you? And I did not know that, this is Optimist's 5th anniversary. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. It actually sort of snuck up on me as well. I just found out today when one of our team members made a big announcement in our Slack about it being the fifth anniversary. And I was like, oh, shoot, I guess I should have been thinking about that.
Big time, man. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you to you for joining us today and bringing us some expertise.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm really excited about this. This is my first YouTube live, so I'm equally excited and equally scared. But you tell me that a lot of people here are interested in the subject. So why don't we just jump right in? Just to Tyler, you can see my screen, right?
Yep, you're all good.
Okay, awesome. So when 2020 drove individuals to return home, the necessity to meet buyers on their terms accelerated enterprises' digital transformation. And This is a survey by McKinsey, which shows that, during the period of COVID, digital-enabled sales interactions just doubled. And this transformation has ushered in a new era of marketing and sales where buyers want solutions to their problems and answers to their questions fast. They don't want to be filling out pointless email forms that spam them with marketing emails and calls from untrained SDRs, right? To quote CMO of Six Sense, even B2B buying purchases are way different now than it was before 2020. So she says B2B buying has become a much more fragmented experience, with each member of the buying team owning only a small piece of the transaction. In this new world, each member of the buying committee needs to be engaged at different times and with different approaches and value messages, all in the hopes of building consensus across a very diverse set of functions, needs, and readiness. You need to rethink the idea that an individual MQL is an indicator of where an account is in the buying journey. Okay. The problem is many B2B and B2C organizations still use lead generation and demand generation funnels created 10 years ago. The problem is these MQLs produce generic purchasing experiences that are not aligned with the new realities of the post-pandemic digital world. And they focus more on acronyms over people and more of leads over income. And also, not every MQL gets converted into an SQL, right? Someone downloading an employee training guide does not mean that they are necessarily interested in buying your training software. And let's be real, SaaS buyers no longer want to give out their email addresses and get tagged as MQLs or SQLs. So with leads failing, what's influencing buyer decisions today? Trust Radius asked 1,036 software buyers that question, and respondents said that the most influential factor in the buying decision was either their own experience with the product, a free trial account, referrals, or product demos. Now, this is a screenshot, and as you can clearly see here, product case studies, vendor product websites, vendor marketing collaterals, and vendor blogs even are the least influential in the buying decision or influencing, the buying decision. And what's most influential is, as we discussed, either their own experience with the product, a free trial or account, a referral, or a product demo. Plus, 87% of buyers who were surveyed said that gated content didn't motivate them to become a lead. So what the research is telling us is that buyers don't trust your company blogs, case studies, ebooks, or even other marketing collaterals that you create. Now, many of you listening this might be, okay, I have no clue what she's talking about. She first said, MQLs are not working anymore. And now she's even saying that the ebooks and blogs that we spend so much time writing and creating are also, not helping the customer or the prospects who want to become our customers, right? But many high growth companies like Slack, Atlassian, Lessonly, and others have seen this trend and have dumped the pursuit of MQLs in favor of something else. And that something else is what we'll discuss today. Hello, everyone. I'm Rig, and I'm a growth marketing consultant and SaaS content strategist. And I've worked with directly or indirectly with all these companies you must have heard of and many other SaaS companies over the last 4 or 5 years. So product-led storytelling is a concept that was coined by Victor Da, and it addresses a lot of the challenges that we just discussed. And this is a quote from Peter Thiel, who was the co-founder of PayPal. And in his book, 0 to 1, he advised us that, customers don't care about any particular technology unless it solves a particular problem in a superior way. So you have to convince your customers that your tool is the one that can help them solve their problems and get them from point A to point B. That is, Peter is saying your customers will pay you in direct proportion to your tool's ability to solve their problems or your tool's perceived ability to solve a particular problem. Makes total sense, right? Now let's go back to our earlier survey of Trust Radius, where respondents said that they trusted their own their own experience with the product, or a free trial account, or referrals, or demos. And these were the top 4 things that influenced their purchasing decision. Now, clearly, customers are best able to gauge your tool's ability to solve their problems or the value they can get out of your products or services with these 4 methods, combining what Pete Thiel just said and, from our own survey. It's fair to say that users want to gauge the product's value even before they've signed up in one way or another, and these methods help them do that the best, right? Now, most SaaS companies today give a trial, demo, or freemium to help people experience the product. But this is only one way of doing it. With MQLs not working anymore and people distrusting your blogs, resources, and marketing content, there's another way to influence purchasing decision and to get people to experience the value of your product even before they've committed to it. I think I messed up, some grammar or some lines here, but anyhow. And in this day and age of user-driven growth, it's called product-led growth or product-led storytelling or even product-qualified storytelling. So this concept of product-led storytelling, product-led growth, or product-qualified storytelling helps prospects perceive the tool's value by showing them how it can solve their problems with product-led content pieces. Product-led content engages your readers with stories that demonstrate how the user can solve their problem with your tool and get from point A to point B, point A being the problem state and point B being the solution state. Now, Hrefs use product-led storytelling to shape the perceived value of their product. And they do this by teaching potential customers on how they can use their tool to get them from point A to point B. And here you can see, how they've created blog posts that show people how they can solve a particular problem using their tool. Okay. And this is a quote by Hrefs CMO Tim Sulo on his hypothesis on how you can grow a SaaS company, and something that he's used personally to grow Hrefs to over $100 million. So he says, my theory is that people don't sign up for your tool and then learn how to use it. My theory is that people first learn how to use your tools and they sign up because they know how to use your tools. Interesting, right? Hrefs has used product-led storytelling to shape the perceived value of their product, like we just discussed. And in Tim's words, they show prospects how to use their tool and help them experience the product even before they've signed up. So the result, as you can see, people are tweeting about, how wonderful Hrefs content is. And, so this is a screenshot which says, excellent article on long tail keywords. It also resulted me in signing up for your product. Great work. So this is a product-led content piece. And mostly all of Hrefs content pieces are product-led storytelling, meaning they show users how they can use the product to get from point A to point B. Hrefs gets close to 2,000 new users per week using this tactic. And they're far from the only successful company doing this. DocuSign, SalesWire, Lessonly, and a lot of other successful companies are doing this. As per Stanford University, stories make up to 2,200% more easier for prospects to remember your product. And even Ben Horowitz says, storytelling can, you can have a great product, but, a compelling story puts your company into motion. And using stories to attract and hold people's attention isn't a new thing. However, infusing your product into these well-crafted stories to attract, convert your ideal customers and drive growth is. And I'll show you another example of, why this is new. So this is an example of a long-form piece of content on how you can create LinkedIn videos or LinkedIn stories. And this is an example from Wave Video. And I'll show you another example from Weed as well. And this is not to hurt anybody's sentiment or say, the clients or to in any way, promote the clients I work with. But interestingly, Wave Video lets you, create and edit videos. But nowhere in their blog have they mentioned how people can do or how people can create or edit videos using their platform. No mention of the tool whatsoever. This is example from another competitor, Weed. So Weed has somewhat of a similar article on how you can create LinkedIn stories. But interestingly, they also don't mention Weed anywhere in the article, except in the conclusion where they have given a call to action to their tool, right? And they've invited people to, come and trial the product. Compare this with the third article. Okay, I've written this article. I'm so sorry. But this is this article on how you can create impactful LinkedIn videos in 5 minutes or less shows how you can use our platform, which is in video, to actually, go ahead, just add a cover to your video, tweak things here and there, add some background music, and, trim the video as you like it in a matter of seconds with just drag and drop, and, create your LinkedIn videos. So that, see, and this is how product-led storytelling works. You have to use your product to show how it can get people from point A to point B with your tool. Okay, it's not just, adding a call to action at the end of the blog, or it's not just a random mention of your blog. It is a way to get people to experience your tool by showing them, how it can get them from point A, which is the problem state, to point B, which is the solution state. Now, which is all to say that you have to evolve your content marketing, like I said, for meaningful engagements and experiences. The way to go about doing this is to create content in a manner that attracts your target audience and filters your ICP at the start of the content piece, then engages those filtered ICPs with relevant stories that show them how your SaaS product or service can help them solve their problem. Use case studies, product use cases, testimonials, ratings, reviews, etc. in your content, and use copywriting at the end to persuade the user to trial your product, right? But product-led storytelling is not enough. You have to couple it with content marketing best practices and focus on optimizing and distributing the stories as much as creating them. Plus, you have to align them with tofu, mofu, and bofu queries to meet your customers at their stage of the purchase journey and engage them with product-led stories. Because clearly, potential customers don't want to be forced with MQL tags that don't add any value, right? The traditional SaaS sales funnel might still have a place, but clearly, product-led storytelling is a better way to engage prospects. It's user-driven, and it aims to deliver value to your prospects without focusing on vanity metrics like MQLs. With product-led storytelling, you get people to have a taste of your product and experience its value firsthand, even before they've signed up. You're focusing on improving the product messaging that attracts and converts targeted customers. Not only that, you also free up your sales and marketing team to focus on improving product experience and focus on your efforts on focus all of your efforts on a single source of truth, which is your product. So is the MQL dead? Well, I don't know. But I think it's high time we ditch the forms and find better ways of engaging our users. And that's it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I really enjoyed some of the examples that you shared there around companies doing this. Can we just talk a little bit about that, Mrig, and maybe going back through some of the examples that you shared, maybe any other companies that you've come across that you think are doing this well?
Sure. So Ahrefs is the best example of a company doing this. So even DocuSign, if you see here, so Victor Da mentions it in one of his examples, and he says, he sent an email to a client and immediately realized that he had messed something up, and he was looking for a solution to undo that email, and that's where he found DocSend, and in the content piece, DocSend showed Victor how he can undo that and use DocSend to be able to do that. And that's a perfect example of product-led storytelling. And like I discussed, the way you need to go about this process, let me just open that slide, is to first filter out your ICP. So you need to very clearly write down and think about who your buyer persona is, who you're speaking to. You don't want people who are not interested in your product or tool to be reading that article. So you want to first create your ideal customer profiles and have them clearly documented. Then at the start of the article, you need to call them out and then engage them with how that use product screenshots to show how the problem that they're looking for was solved for some of their other customers, or how the tool actually solves that problem. And at the end, maybe prod the user to go up for a free trial or a demo or whatever the call to action is, right? And DocSend is another one example. Lessonly again does this very well. Saleswell again does this very well. And the thing I've noticed, Tyler, is people. I mean, it's interesting, so many of us, the way we do SEO or the way we do content marketing is, we come up with a list of topics which have maybe high search volume and low keyword difficulty, and just go about, creating content and focus on maybe, I don't know, MQLs, or driving more traffic and things like that. But that's not the way it works. You really have to put your product at the center and maybe then go from there. So, and even, I know John Henry also discussed this. You have to like think of two things. One is the customer journey, and one is, your product itself. So like I said, start from bofu content, move to middle of the funnel, and then go to the top of the funnel. Think about, what are the keywords that people are looking for, or say, when I say start from a bottom of the funnel, and this is an example that again John also discusses in the I know on the other video that you have on your channel, is if
Mhm.
I'm PayPal and I'm competing against Stripe, I want to write an article on, alternatives to Stripe, or,
Mhm.
best like payment solutions, or whatever it is. Because
Yeah.
people searching for those keywords are ready to make the purchasing decision. They just need to be convinced that, your tool is the one that they need to go for. So, one is, focus on, starting with bofu content and then moving to middle of the funnel and then move to top of the funnel. Top of the funnel is usually not the content pieces that I recommend, because usually, if you are competing in an established category, uh, you will never be able to compete on live chat against drift and intercom. There's no point in, even thinking about those topics. So start from the bottom of the funnel, then move to the middle, and then move to the top of the funnel, and keep your customers and your product at the center, and then start creating content from there, rather than, like having content as something separate from all these things that you're doing. And what I mean by that is, again, like I said, use product led storytelling, and think more about, like, does this content piece relate to my product? Usually people are not looking for beginner level content. People have very specific pain points, and I'm surprised to see, if you look at this article, it's like like very very basic level. Somebody searching for LinkedIn video guide these days, almost everybody has a profile on LinkedIn, but only some of us publish videos there, and think about it as a great platform to apply their video marketing strategy. I mean, you can clearly make out that the person who has written this piece of content really does not understand the pain point, maybe of somebody searching, or looking to maybe create videos on LinkedIn or something like that.
Yeah.
It's even if you go into the depth, it's very beginner level. It no way relates to the product that they have. So, again, keep the product and your customers at the center, and start creating content from there, rather than, having content as this separate thing. Very often, founders and startups come to me, and when I ask them as to, why you created content on these pieces, when they don't directly relate to the product, they say, oh, no, this part of this feature can be used by this audience. And the reason they give me for creating those pieces is, it has high search volume and low keyword difficulty. So what you're trying to do is, you want to create content first, and then try to fit that content maybe into, or relate that content to your product. What you need to be doing is, putting your product or your customers at the center, and then, really start creating content from there,
Yeah.
right?
I think that's a good example, and I really like the example that you used. And by the way, I just want to give a quick comment here. We got some questions in the chat, so I'm going to get to those in just a second here. But I think you used another great example, which was like I think it was about like hiring or something, and it was like people who download a hiring guide aren't necessarily going to use like your hiring software. And I think that's
Yes.
another mismatch that people have, right? Is that they create
Right.
what I consider to be really like pre-funnel content, right? Like it's really like it's what a lot of people call top of the funnel, but to me it's like really pre-funnel. It's like, okay, if somebody is thinking about hiring or they're thinking about sales, then they could potentially use my software that does X, Y, and Z thing. But the problem is I think we then capture those leads, or we call that a lead or an MQL, but in reality, like that person is only persona qualified. Like we don't actually know, like we know that they're
Right.
interested in sales, we know that they're interested in hiring, but we don't actually know that they have a pain point that our solution can actually solve. And so I think that's the main mismatch that I see most commonly, is that what we call an MQL or a lead in many marketing teams is really just a contact. It's just somebody who sort of fits a general profile, but they're not necessarily looking for a solution or even looking to solve a problem that our product solves. And so I think that's where people get kind of mixed up.
Definitely, Tyler. And that I think, buyer persona, many people don't even understand, how to create a buyer persona, like talking about the psychographics and demographics does not really tell them, what's motivating my people, my prospects or my customers to like make the purchasing decision or, or to buy, which is why I think, again, that's a whole different conversation. But I think even better than creating buyer personas is a jobs to be done framework. Right? So do you know something about that?
Yeah, we use sort of a jobs to be done framework in our research process.
Yes. And I think, jobs to be done framework really addresses some of the limitations or, it's a better framework than buyer persona, where you're really not concerned about the demographics and the psychographics, and you just want to see what jobs people want to get done when they are, opting for your tool or service, right? And what motivates them, or what are the moments of struggle that led your prospects to seek out a tool or a service like yours.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I'd love to jump into some of the questions and comments we're getting here. So first of all, Prakash is asking if we can first of all go back and look at the slides referencing the LinkedIn video posts, and maybe we can just walk through that section again, because you have a couple slides there that kind of talk through an example of sort of what to do and what not to do.
Right. So what was the question again?
They were just asking if we could kind of go back to these slides. So maybe we can just go over these. I think it's like 2 or 3 slides here in a row that sort of show examples of this content.
Sure. So this is the one by Wave. This is the one by Weed, and this is the one that we created for InVideo. Yeah. And I think, even the docs and this screenshot might help.
Yeah, so I think the main takeaway there that I gathered is, some of the first couple of examples of content on that topic. Basically, they sort of address the high level, maybe best practices about how to do LinkedIn video and things like that, but they never got into sort of the tactical execution that would have introduced their specific product, and like, here's how to do this using our tool, which I think is sort of the missing piece there. Is that, am I understanding that right?
Correct. Absolutely. And you have to like get people to experience the value of your tool. And the only way they can do this is when you use your tool, to show them how that tool is getting you from one point to another, right? And if in the entire blog you're not mentioning your tool, or how it's addressing the problem which people were, which someone was searching probably on Google was like then I mean how will someone gauge, if your tool is the one they should sign up for, right?
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I think that's also maybe a reflection too of the increased competition, in this, especially in the SaaS market. Like, there's more and more tools out there. People are looking, basically to get value faster and to understand the value faster, right? Like, I'm much less likely to just go sign up for a tool because it's a project management tool. Like, I'm much more likely to sign up for a tool again because it solves a very specific problem, or I understand how it works and how it's going to work for my specific use case. Because there's 1,000 project management tools, and I'm not going to go try all of them. We just don't shop that way anymore.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about product-led storytelling is, users want to consume that content. They want to, use your tool, but you have to show them exactly, how your tool can help them, and that requires you to mention your tool again and again, and use stories of how people found success through them, or how it fits their use case, as you just mentioned, and how someone just like them use their tool to solve that particular problem, or how you can actually do that with your tool, and that's what product-led storytelling is about, right? Experience the value of the product with that story even before you've signed up. Like, we showing you, okay, so these many people have found value, or this is the way it's done with like so and so person found value with this tool, or this is exactly how you can use the tool to solve your problem.
Yeah. Let's jump into this question from Karen. So Karen is asking. She says, playing devil's advocate here, can we use this concept of product-led storytelling in conjunction with an MQL or like a kind of a traditional MQL model to make sure that we're sending better leads to the sales team? Can you talk a little bit about that, or maybe how you is there sort of a dichotomy there between product-led storytelling and having an MQL as part of your process?
That's a wonderful question, Tyler. I'm not in the extremes of ditch the MQL. That was a good copywriting headline. Yeah. But yes, find ways to like combine MQLs with product-led storytelling. That would be the best way to go about it. And today, there are tools like Write Message that let you even customize the experience. There are pop-ups which let people opt in, and not just force people to just log in to read the article more, or log in to download an ebook or something like that. If you want, you can just opt in. There are pop-ups that at the side of your website that can let people to opt in if they want to know more, understand more, or things like that. So yes, combining the MQL and the product-led storytelling approach would be the best way to go about it.
Yeah, I think about too. I think my main takeaway from this is really also about what constitutes an MQL. I think that's where as marketers we've gotten sort of squishy, and of course, like the sales teams often complain about this. Like we're creating contacts and we're creating these what we're calling leads or we're calling MQLs, but we haven't really shown any level of intent. That person has any level of intent. And so I think, the main thing for me is like, if you generate an MQL off the back of a product-led content piece where the user is signaling a high level of purchase intent or a specific need or problem, that's a much higher quality lead. And that to me is sort of a true MQL. Whereas I think what we've done is sort of move the goalposts a little bit as marketers, right? We've said, okay, hey, if we can get someone to the site with a blog post and then get them to give us an email address, then our job is done. We've generated an MQL. Now it's all on sales to figure out how to close. And I think that's sort of the problem that product-led storytelling really addresses is better qualifying that traffic, better qualifying those leads, and really kind of redefining the concept of an MQL.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with, so means sort of have become ends in themselves. If if I have to put it that way. And then, like marketing, like MQLs just seem to be like this quota that, the marketing team has to fulfill every month or year. And then, you just start shoving like sales and then messages, like which people maybe do not want to receive. And you're absolutely right, with product led story pieces. And the interesting thing is, you're also calling out the ICP at the start of the article. So you are letting them know that, hey, you can use in video, like we will show how our tool in the case of the LinkedIn video example that I showed, you will use in video to create these LinkedIn videos. But hey, it can help you do that in just 5 minutes or even less than that. Right. So we are telling them that, hey, you will be using this tool to solve this problem. So, again, calling out. And then, if people opt in with that product led story piece, like you said, the intent is also, they've shown that interest in, the product, and they want to consume maybe more pieces like this. And the thing with B2B buying experiences these days, I think, the very often, what we think is, people will read a content piece, they'll opt in with their emails, and then we'll give them we'll send them some messages, and they'll opt in for the tool or service. That's not the way it works. Especially with B2B, the aim of one content piece is to, get people to the next content piece, and from that content piece to the next content piece, to the next, and the next and the next. till the point that there is enough trust between you and the person who's reading the content piece. And when it's product led content pieces, the prospect reading the content pieces, understands that, is like there is that trust. And at the end of, completing those set of content pieces, the prospect also like feels that, yes, this is the tool that I was all like I've been looking for all this while. And with B2C, you want to do you if like you want to do that to the point where the person starts feeling guilty about consuming so much content from you and then not using the content less. So yeah, that's there. And yeah.
I don't condone shaming your customers, but the general premise. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a couple. I mean, I think there's a couple different models there. I think the thing that I see is, it really depends on the business model, right? And it really depends on sort of what you're selling and to whom you're selling it to, right? And so we have sort of different models where there is, there needs to be sort of a more relationship focused process to nurture someone towards a purchase decision in some cases, and especially, enterprise software or some kind of a big transaction. Whereas like a product-led growth company or like a SaaS, like a self-serve model, it is easier to convert that traffic directly into like some kind of sign up. Now, that's not to say that they're going to become a paying customer, but they'll at least try the product. But I think that's where this idea of product-led storytelling to me is really the most valuable is in those cases where, hey, I can get someone in, I can help them understand this product and how it's going to solve the specific problem that they already searched for, by the way, in many cases, right? Like creating a lot of this content to capture that existing demand. And so that those people are already sort of primed to buy if you can show and prove, right? If you can show and demonstrate the value that your product has and that it solves the specific need or the specific pain point that they're already looking to solve, like you that's a slam dunk, right?
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I've only been working with SaaS companies, so maybe I can't speak for others, but definitely for SaaS, this is the way to go about it.
For sure. So Melissa has a question. So she wants to talk a little bit about the survey. I think that's I think it was Trust Radius survey that you referenced early on in the presentation. She says, in that survey, they found that case studies are actually not very effective. People basically don't trust our content about ourselves very, very well. So she says, what about case studies that are highly focused on the product? How is that any different? And so I think what she's getting at here is like, is there sort of a tension between this idea of product-led storytelling and like a case study, and how are they different or how are they the same?
So, when I say, there are two different kinds of incorporating case studies. One is you create a separate content piece just on, how a company or a user, used your tool to get some outcomes or get some results or something like that. So what the study showed is, vendor produced case studies are not something that influence the buying decision. And the kind of case studies and product-led storytelling that we are talking about is we are incorporating those user success stories inside the content piece. So think about it like this, so how in video helped Mrig create videos in less than 5 minutes. That is one topic, and it's a very bad example, but still, like how you can create a LinkedIn video in less than 5 minutes. So inside the second topic that I mentioned, you will reference the tool, but you're not like telling, but you're not like, I don't know how to put it. So you incorporate those case studies inside the content piece and not have it like, something salesy or something that says, they used our tool and achieved this results. And of course, you are the company, it's your tool, you will have all these things. So that's not something that influences the buying decision. But yes, you have to use user reviews and user testimonials and user case studies inside the content piece in the other things that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too that I'm sure we've all experienced this is that a lot of what gets passed off as a case study is just not very convincing. In many companies, many companies they do a case study and it's like, okay, this company hired us or they bought our product and they got X results, and that's like as much information as you get. And so like those types of case studies, I think first of all have never been super effective because it's easy to discount them. It's easy to say like, okay, yeah, but how or what led to that outcome, and not really trust the headline, so to speak. And that's where I think like at some point product-led storytelling with a specific outcome, essentially becomes a case study, right? It sort of becomes like but a very tactical and detailed version of a case study where it's saying, hey, here's exactly how to achieve a specific outcome using our tool, using our product. And it gets into the weeds of the details and ideally even the step-by-step like tactical execution.
Right. And I was not able to maybe frame that answer correctly, but see, look at it like this, so very often case studies, what they tell you is, hey, this is the problem and this is how our product solved that problem, which is not how product-led storytelling works. Product-led storytelling is, hey, this is the problem, this is the solution, and this is our tool, which is probably the best tool that can get you to the solution. If that makes sense. So, I'll take again, I don't know if this is a good example. Let's take keto diets as an example. So saying, something in your content like, hey, you, like this is like I don't know, B2C or not related to SaaS in particular, but say, in your product messaging, if you're writing, we know that, you like being overweight makes you feel embarrassed going to parties. Your friends don't understand it because they've never experienced, because they don't know what are the challenges of being overweight or whatever, and things like that. And in a case study, usually you have all these problems, you feel embarrassed going to parties, your friends don't understand your problem, and the next piece is our keto solution has helped so many people overcome those challenges. Whereas in product-led storytelling, what happens is, you feel embarrassed going to parties, or your dresses don't fit you anymore. Your friends don't understand because they are not going through this problem. Keto diet over the past so many years has proven to be a good solution to help people reduce weight and then things like that. And then move to I like, if I'm selling the product, I faced the same problem for so many years, and I tried a lot of solutions in the market, did a lot of things, but nothing helped. And then I found keto solutions, and then maybe put in keto solutions have proven to help so many different people. And I came up with this particular tonic, which is not a solution with this I don't know, keto product, which is not available anywhere in the market, and it helps so people do this. And these many people have been benefited from it, and we have these many reviews and these many things, and go ahead and try out my keto product. Right. So second story made much more sense, where I moved from, okay, this is the problem, this is the solution, and maybe my tool is that bridge, right? Whereas in case studies, it's usually this is the problem and this is our tool that is the solution.
Yeah, totally agree. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's really the storytelling element, right? Is that you're really meeting the buyer or meeting the reader where they are, and then walking them through each stage, right? Like you're helping them understand, not just like, oh, if you have this problem, buy this product. It's here's the product, or here's the problem that you have, here's a solution, and then here's how our product can serve as that solution. Right? Really
yes, absolutely. How that tool can get you from point A to point B. That's what product-led storytelling is.
Yeah. So this person, I'm going to call them Michael. Michael. They have a comment here. So they said, MQL and product-led storytelling are different things to do and do not contradict each other. MQL might indicate potential customer interest, but product-led storytelling is an active tool for interacting with potential customers, whether MQL or not. So I think this is a good distinction, right? So I think like just to clarify, I think the message here, Mrig, that you're sort of putting out is like, if we use product-led storytelling in the right way, we sort of eliminate this sort of squishy version of an MQL that has come to predominate, where we're sort of capturing any contact or any person who might be interested in our product and calling it a lead. Is that kind of a good way to frame it?
Tyler, like put it again.
Oh, I was saying, so the way that I think about it is not that product-led storytelling somehow replaces or eliminates an MQL in any absolute sense, but that executing product-led storytelling, sort of redefines what an MQL is and eliminates sort of the squishy version of an MQL that a lot of marketing teams struggle with.
Yes, absolutely. In majority of the cases, but it's still, I would say MQL is pretty much dead for maybe engineering-led SaaS teams. So engineers don't want to be marketed to, right? You show them anything marketing, and then they'll run the other side. So like in a lot of engineering led SaaS companies, I would say MQL is pretty much dead. But again, like having MQLs with product-led storytelling is a much better way to go about it than just having MQLs. And like I said, because somebody downloading a training guide from your platform does not tell you anything about whether they are interested in your training software or not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, absolutely, and that's a good way to put it, Tyler. And I absolutely also love the thing that you mentioned, that somebody opting into an MQL from a product-led content piece will have like a much higher intent, or shows much higher intent than somebody just opting in for your software from nowhere.
Yeah, and you raise a good point, which I think is like for certain companies, for certain segments and things like that, applying product-led storytelling, it really does sort of eliminate the standard idea of an MQL, right? So I think, again, if we go back to sort of how most people approach content marketing, the conventional wisdom has always been, you get people to your site, you get them to fill out a form, they become an MQL, then you send them content until they eventually buy, right? And I think like what you're pointing to is, in a lot of cases that doesn't work, and B, it's not necessarily the best way to do content marketing. If you can apply this product-led storytelling approach, it's much easier to convert someone directly into the product, or to get them to sign up for a trial or something off of a single piece of content, perhaps.
Yes.
Rather than trying to convert them into this MQL and then do some kind of nebulous nurturing process to ultimately convert them.
Right. And just like putting it together with like combining it with content marketing best practices, like I said, so you are prompting readers to other pieces of content that relate to what they just searched for, and the other problems that they can solve using your tool. So if it's a middle of the funnel piece, then have mofo queries, other queries that you've answered in other content pieces, and have like the title as something that makes a promise that they are going to, like, that piece is going to help them solve a similar related problem that they were searching for. And have those suggestions at the bottom, and like I said, get people to read as many content pieces as possible, and create those engaging stories, so that there is enough trust, because that's what's needed, right? There's enough trust between you and the prospect that makes them really take that jump and opt in for your solution. Usually these days, you don't have to think so much, because there's a freemium or like a demo of the software before you've actually committed it. So even the time where you first like the first time to value is also like very much decreased. And very often we as marketers want to focus on transactional metrics, like how much revenue it generated, what were the number of leads, and then things like that. But you also need to think it from the customer's perspective. Somebody who has opted their credit card and are being charged every month, if they're not using their tools, sooner or later they're going to opt out. So having metrics like what, like their activation, like really trying to figure out what is the first time to value, like how many days does it take for a B2B software, let's say, for people to really see the full value of the tool, and getting people to experience that value as soon as possible. So we did this analysis for one of our clients recently, and we saw that people can experience like the whole like the value of the tool in the first 4 days itself. and our trial was 14 days, so we cut it down because to 7 days, because having it for 14 days again does not like matter, because then you're delaying the revenue to the company, right? So really, like, focusing, rather than focusing on these transactional metrics like leads or revenue or things like that, focus on what is the first, like, what is the activation? When will you call a customer fully activated? When is the first time to value? When can the customer, like, what are the value points? Okay, so from this to this to this, what's the first aha moment? And from there, when has the customer like seen all these features, and then they have, and when they are using like the full, like the full tool and all its features, like every day, maybe how can we get them to experience the features of maybe a premium version, or a level higher than that, and all these different features, and if for some reason maybe they did not get to use those features in their tool, then maybe extending the trial a little. So really focusing on providing that value to customers is a much better metric than any of these traffic leads and all of these things, which is what even product led storytelling is a lot about. Give value, get them to see what is the value of the tool. They have to really experience the value, otherwise sooner or later they are going to churn and they're going to opt out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely. You're deep into your clients' businesses. It sounds like. Right?
Yeah.
Getting into the product engagement metrics and whatnot, for sure. But no, I think, like, at the end of the day, obviously, for most businesses, that's the goal, right? We're trying to get people in the door, but also we want to get the right people in the door that are going to see the value and experience the value and become longtime customers. That's at the end of the day. That's what we're trying to do. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share this comment from Karen, which I think is apt. So, she says, regardless of what we call it, product-led storytelling works so well because it offers the buyer a solution to their problems. And again, I think that's really the crux of this whole discussion, this whole process, is how do we do a better job of meeting buyers where they are and then helping them really understand their problem, understand the solution, and then make an informed purchase decision about our specific product. And I think front loading that, helping them understand that value as early as possible in the process, also serves our needs from a business perspective. It also serves our goals of trying to generate more leads, because we're helping them see and understand that value more quickly, even potentially before they've gotten into the product, right? And that's really what we're trying to do there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we do have a few minutes left here. We may wrap up a couple minutes early if we don't have any other questions. So anyone who's on the stream here, feel free to toss any questions into the chat for Mrig. But otherwise, I just want to say, first of all, thanks so much again for your time on this. I think this is a great discussion. I think my perception is certainly that we're seeing I think a little bit of a renaissance in terms of content marketing. I think for a while there, many content marketers were in a place where it was hard for them to show the value of the work that they were doing, and people were sort of struggling to connect traffic and revenue, or traffic and keywords and all this other stuff, to actual revenue, actual sales. And so I think we're getting to a place where there's better tools, there's better data, and there's more sophisticated strategies around how do we actually use this content to drive business outcomes, and how do we really speak to those buyers in a very specific and precise way to help them understand that value as soon as possible.
Yes, absolutely, Tyler. And like collecting data points is also like very important. And there are so many tools, like you just said, that can help you do that, because there's no way of knowing, if you're going in the right direction or not. There used to be a time where you are doing a campaign for about 3 or 4 months, and at the end of it you realize, okay, it's getting us nowhere. But now like the input time has decreased so much. You can really test out and experiment and see, and there are, like you said, so many tools that really help you gauge what's working and what's not, and go from there. But again, as marketers also, it's very important that we write and look at all that data, and have that data first of all, like having entry surveys, exit surveys, and keeping the whole approach also very customer centric, I think is equally important. So I usually create these sheet where I write down the name of my experiments, have like a column for input time, the output time, what the hypothesis was, and at the end of the period of the experiment, what was the result of it. So if it's something that did not turn out well, I'm like it's like, at least I know that, I have that this is not the way it's working, and I have to try something else the next time. And I don't get into this circle of, okay, I'm trying the same things out and I'm hoping that it's worked because it's worked for somebody else, but it's not working for me. So yeah, really having that data in place is very important. And like I said, the second very important thing is, having the whole approach very customer centric. So talking to your customers is like very important. So like I said, having entry surveys as to, how you found out about our tool. It's something so simple, but it's surprising how many SaaS companies are not doing it. And having exit surveys as to, what were you looking for that our tool could not give you, that you're opting out or you're canceling your services, and things like that. And also, when I say, collect data, this is something that again, just came to my mind. uh, like I said, don't collect data for even just marketing purposes. Collect and show data even to your customers. Like Grammarly does this very fantastic thing. It tells you at the end of the day, in an email, as to how many words you wrote, or how much good stuff you've edited and things like that. It lets the customer feel like, they're experiencing value out of the tool every single day. I wait to receive that email, at the end of the day, and know that, I've written more than, maybe thousands of other marketers or content writers today. So, just engaging the customer and knowing that they're getting value out of the tool. Because like I said, you really have to understand that if the customer does not see value, or if they are not, engaging with your product, sooner or later they are going to opt out. So it's very important that you keep them engaged, even if the customer, like, set up ways in which you can understand if the like there are so many tools out there that can let you know, what feature the customer has used or what they've not, and just sending those emails to prod them to, hey, there is this feature also, this feature also. Use our tool to the maximum that you can. And at the end of the day, like, show that data to the customer, that hey, you used our tool to achieve these many things, so that they know that's the value they're getting out of the tool. It might seem like very obvious, even in like, it might seem very obvious. Okay, they know that they're using the tool and it's giving them all these benefits, but it works very well in sales also. You have to tell the customer as to what problem they came for, why it's important to solve the problem right now, so that there is enough context set again, every time, we are going through that sales conversation again and again. So again, tell your customers, this is the value you're getting out of the tool. Keep reminding them that, and keep engaging them. Show them the data, that show them the value. And it's very, very important that you do that. Otherwise, like, there could be chances that, your customers will churn out, and you would have no way of, knowing or understanding why that's happening.
Mm-hmm. So a couple of people were asking in the chat if there's a way for them to get a copy of your deck that you went through today.
Sure. Tyler, should I send this to you? How should I send it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So how about this? So first of all, I'll just do a quick plug here for Mrig's website. So some of the content that we covered today actually came out of an article that she wrote on this topic. So if you check out her site here, you should be able to find that original article. And then Mrig, if you want to send me a copy of the deck or share it with me, I can post that into our top of the funnel group. So
Yes.
if you guys are interested in getting a copy of this, just pop into the top of the funnel Slack group. Again, it's a free group, so you can just join, and I'll post a link in there for everyone to be able to get access to that deck.
Sure. And Tala, I can also upload this deck on my website. So Mrignayni.com/optimist. Like, the deck will be there probably like by the end of the day today. Okay. Yeah. So anyone who wants to like check that out, Mrignayni.com/optimist. Like, you can use the link in an hour or two, maybe after the session, and you can find the deck there.
Okay. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today, and Mrig, thank you again so much for your time and going through this. I think it was a great discussion.
Thank you for inviting me, and congratulations again on the 5th anniversary.
Thank you so much. We'll make one final plug. Again, if you're not already a member of our group, Top of the Funnel, I would love to have you there. It's a free Slack community for content marketers and SEO folks of all types. So please join us. And we'll see you again next week. We're doing another live session, so we'll be back online here pretty soon. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Mrig. Thanks all for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Cheers.